Hello and welcome to Top Story. There's no respite for Western powers on the Iranian nuclear issue, but on North Korea at least, there are grounds for optimism. This week, Washington said Pyongyang was cooperating well with US experts in disabling its atomic program. Attention's focused on the Yongbyon reactor, the source of the plutonium used in North Korea's nuclear test a year ago. This progress follows a landmark six-nation deal in February. Under that accord, the impoverished communist hermit state will get financial and food aid in return for full denuclearization. But plenty of sticking points could still hobble Pyongyang's steps towards international respectability. And to discuss that, here is Dorian Malevich, head of the Asia desk at La Croix daily newspaper here in France. Mr. Malevich, thank you very much for joining us.
Nice to meet you.
A South Korean official said yesterday that North Korea should provide the first full account of its nuclear activities in the next 2 weeks. So it's a good sign.
Well, we cannot say it's a bad sign, but as far as the nuclear crisis, North Korean crisis is concerned, what we can see now for a few weeks, we can see that as long as nothing bad is happening, it's very good. That's the State Department in Washington so happy that nothing wrong is going for the moment, that they are so eager to say, well, everything is going on very well. And Christopher Hill say, okay, we are going to get a complete list of all the North Korean nuclear program, and so we can start next year in implementing a program of, disconnecting and dismantling the programs, but it's a very long-term process, actually.
Right. Christopher Hill, the UN envoy, I should add on to those talks. So what could go wrong? What are the fears in the next stage of this process?
Well, many things can go wrong. You never know. I mean, with the North Korean leader, with Kim Jong-il, he's 65 now. Okay, winter is coming now in North Korea. It's starting to be very cold. He has to provide food and fuel to keep on going with the minimum, necessities for his people and for the nomenclatura in Pyongyang, for the military, and so that to go through winter. Always, every year for 10 years, it has always been the same scenario.
And presumably getting more difficult every year. Could there be a meltdown, even a food meltdown, with all the consequences for the region, even before this nuclear process achieves a crucial point?
Well, that's quite difficult to say what could happen in the next weeks or months for the food and the basic necessities. But, in summer there has been some floods, as it's very current in North Korea at the time, and it destroyed a lot of crops, But as in February, there was the first deal with the Six Nations, and then in September again another accord with the foreign countries around North Korea, and even though last year the UN voted sanctions, economic sanctions, they have never been implemented really, except for Japan, which was the only country who really implemented the economic sanctions. South Korea already started a few months ago to provide food for North Korea and fuel. The same for China. They never stopped.
Okay, let me ask you another thing which came out this week about North Korea's ballistic missile program. South Korea obviously very worried about that, the United States as well.
Yeah.
This could provide another sticking point in the future.
Yeah, if North Korea decided, we cannot expect North Korea to start another, ballistic missile across Japan or in the Pacific testing program, as it was the case, last year. To keep on the pressure on the foreign community. I think for the moment that they are, they are just sure they are on the right track to satisfy the Americans. We know that Bush is on only 1 year, from his last mandate. He's going. There's no Bush administration in 1 year, but. What's very strange about Washington is that they decided that they needed at least one diplomatic success somewhere It's not about Iraq. It's not Iran. Now it has to be North Korea.
Despite these proliferation fears and
Yeah.
North Korea being linked possibly to Syria, to this mysterious Israeli air raid.
Yeah, but they realize that North Korea suddenly is much less dangerous than Iran. And they say, okay, that's the place where we can get a diplomatic success of acts of evil, among the three countries. North Korea is the only one.
That's right, so it's getting out of that axis, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, well, there's a lot more to cover, but unfortunately we have to end it there. But
Okay.
thank you very much
You're
indeed for
welcome.
coming, Dorian Malevich from La Croix newspaper in France. And do join us at the same time tomorrow for another edition of Top Story.